Hello everybody, this is going to be another template video for our series on uh, prevention of lower extremity injuries, injuries to the hip, knee, and ankle, and also these could be used in the course of recovery from injuries to the lower extremity. Basically two kind of general categories of injuries to the lower extremity. One is overuse sort of injuries, and one is traumatic injuries, and these exercises have a role in both sorts of injuries. And the final thing to say is these of course are not meant to replace the care from a qualified medical professional. These are simply preventative exercises that are very well known and very well established. So we're going to go through a few of them now. Most of them require just minimal equipment, a matted surface or carpeted floor to lie on, some ankle weights, and some other small items. And these are all intended to be done without any sort of fancy equipment or gym equipment or things like that. So we're going to go through a few of the basic series here. The first one is called a straight leg raising exercise. And often this exercise benefits from having some light ankle weights on your ankle. So I'm going to demonstrate that by putting a little 2-pounder on. How much weight should you use? Enough weight that the final few repetitions of the set are a little bit of a challenge. As you get stronger, you end up using higher levels of weight. For this particular exercise, probably 3 to 5 pounds is a reasonable amount of weight to eventually try and target. The exercise is done by lying flat, or you can prop up slightly on your elbows if you like. The leg you're going to exercise is out straight, the opposite leg is bent. You tighten the thigh muscle by pushing the leg down to the table to keep the muscle tight. Holding the muscle tight, you pick the straight leg slowly up in the air, about level with your opposite knee, then you lower back down, and then you rest. And we're trying to work on about 10 to 15 repetitions, slow with control. And a special note with this one, maintain that tightness in the thigh muscle as you go through the lift. That's called a straight leg raise. Exercise number 2 is called a short arc quad exercise. And for this one, you need something like a coffee can or a round ball or something to put behind your leg. Again, you could be lying flat or propped up slightly. And here what you're basically trying to do is to extend the knee up straight, hold 2 to 3 seconds, take it down slow. This is a basic exercise for strengthening the muscle above your knee on your thigh called the quadriceps muscle. Usually done 10 to 15 repetitions, 1 to 2 sets, and enough weight that you feel a little bit of tiredness in the last part of the set. This is called a short arc quad exercise. The third exercise that can be done in this position is some stretching exercises, and a good one is for the hamstring muscles. One way to do that is to use a strap or a belt or a piece of rope, or this one has some fancy rings in it, but it doesn't have to be fancy. And basically, the exercise for this is to have the legs straight. You bring the straight leg up in the air till you feel a bit of a stretch in the back of your thigh. For all the stretching exercises, we're holding for about 10 to 15 seconds, doing 2 or 3 repetitions. The key with this is to really kind of relax and allow the muscle to stretch, 10 to 15 seconds, then you set it down, and certainly these can all be done on both legs, of course. So those are some very basic exercises in this position. Another position you can go to is sitting up. Here I'm going to sit up with my back against the wall. And a stretch that can be done in this position is for the calf muscle. You take your band again, your rope, and basically it goes around the ball of the foot. You're going to pull straight back to stretch the calf muscle, holding for 10 to 15 seconds, and then releasing the stretch. This is one way to do it. There will be another way we'll show you standing in a moment. Sometimes people who have had knee or hip injuries have difficulty bending the knee all the way. An exercise that can be done in this position to help with bending is to use the strap and slide the leg along the table in the mat at home. Stretch and bend the knee. You hold for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then you slide the leg back down flat. This is an exercise to work on knee range of motion if you have decreased range of motion in your knee. And those are some basic exercises that are done in this sitting up position. A third position that we can go to is laying on your side. So this is our side lying position. I'm going to go a little flatter. A few basic exercises in this position. You could do another straight leg lifting exercise, which works on the muscles on the outside of the hip and also the outside of the thigh. This is straight leg raising to the side. Some people call this abduction. And again, an ankle weight could be put on the ankle, 10 to 15 repetitions. Another exercise that can be done in this position is stretching of the quadriceps muscle on the front of the thigh. That's done by bending the knee and trying to bring the leg back behind the plane of the body. This is used to stretch the muscle in the front of the thigh. You hold for 10 to 15 seconds, 2 or 3 repetitions, and then you relax. If you have a difficult time reaching your ankle, you could use your strap again. Kind of lasso your ankle. And now you don't have to reach quite as far. You could use a strap. And again, if you can't reach that far, again, just a little bit of a bend. This could also be done standing. We'll show you that in a moment. A little fancier exercise in this position for stretching the band of tissue on the outside of the leg is to reach up with your heel and try and push the leg down towards the table. That's a little fancier exercise. This band of tissue on the outside of the thigh is a common problem. People that have tightness in their hip or knee. Again, I'm trying to bring my top leg, my left leg down towards the table by pushing with my right foot. There's another way to do this in standing if this is a little too awkward. Okay, we're going to progress to the standing position next. This is our next position to work from. A variety of things that can be done in a standing position. One of them I'm going to demonstrate by facing towards the camera here so you can hear me talk, is to work on side leg raising and standing. Again, this could be done with an ankle weight on the ankle. 10 to 15 repetitions. Making sure to keep the back nice and straight so we're not doing it by tilting the body sideways but keeping it nice and tall. Another exercise that can be done is holding on, lifting straight to the back. This is hip extension. Again, back stays nice and straight. You want to have something to hold on to with both hands. And another basic exercise is hip flexion. Some people call this marching. Again, could be done with an ankle weight on your ankle. 10 to 15 repetitions. Making sure the back stays nice and tall. Another exercise that's done standing is standing hamstring curls, like so. Again, an ankle weight on the ankle makes the exercise more difficult. 10 to 15 repetitions. So that's an example of some muscle strengthening exercises that are done in standing. A few stretching exercises that are similar to the ones we did on the table can be done standing. For example, the bringing the heel towards the butt exercise that we did laying on your side could be done standing. If this is more comfortable to you, this is another way to do it. Holding for 10 to 15 seconds and then releasing. Most common mistake with this one, folks tend to bring them to the side. We want the knee down next to the other knee, so we're bringing it straight back behind the plane of the body to feel the stretch in the front of the thigh. Another stretch that can be done in standing is a calf muscle stretch. Sometimes this is called the runner stretch. And basically the leg that you want to stretch is back, the heel is down, foot flat, pointed towards the surface you're holding onto. And basically you lean forward to feel a stretch in the back of that left calf muscle. You hold for about 10 to 15 seconds, and we're doing 2 or 3 repetitions at a time. Of course, these are all done on both legs. Another stretch that can be done in standing is for the lateral muscles, the IT band, it's called, a band of tissue on the outside of the hip and leg. To stretch the left IT band, I hold onto a wall or a railing. I cross the right leg over the left, and basically I'm trying to lean that left hip into the wall, leaning my trunk to the right. And this produces a stretch on the outside of the left hip. And this is a way to stretch that band of tissue on the outside of the thigh. So that's an example of a basic series of exercises that are used to target the hip and knee primarily and the muscles around that area. They're usually done 1 to 2 times a day. The strengthening exercises probably once a day is sufficient. The stretching exercises can be done really 2 or 3 times a day. Sometimes it's comfortable to apply some moist heat to an area before you stretch or exercise, and certainly any discomfort can be alleviated with a cold pack after the exercises. So I hope you enjoyed that short video. That's an example of some exercises for your hip and knee. Thank you.